Welcome to PowerPoint Advanced Lesson 2. In this tutorial, you will learn how to insert a table, format the design of your table, and format the layout of your table. The first thing you need to do is insert a table into your slide. So I clicked on the slide where I want to insert my table, and then I'm going to go to the Insert tab in the ribbon and click on it. I'm going to move over to Table, and then I can create the size of the table that I want by simply clicking or moving the cursor over these boxes. I'm going to create 5 rows and 2 columns, and then I'm going to click on my mouse and you will see that table appear in your slide. To move this table, I have to get the 4 black arrows, so I put it over the edge, and then I can click and drag. To make it smaller, I can move the cursor to the corner and see 2 white arrows, and then I'll click and drag. I can enlarge it and move it up, and that is how you insert a table into your PowerPoint slide. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to format the design of your table. In order to do this, you need to always click on your table until it's highlighted. And then I'm going to go up to this Table Tools and click on the Design tab. And you will see a bunch of different table styles. If I click on this arrow with the line above it, you will see all the different styles that you have to select from. And if I just move the cursor over it, you can see the changes that are happening. So I'm going to choose my style, and then I'm going to click on it. And now you can see I have my style set. So again, if I want to make more design changes, I would always click on my table, and here are all the design elements. I can shade my table, add shading. I can change the border styles. I can add different effects to it. So you can play around with that to see all the variety of things that you can change to your table. The next thing we're going to do is insert text. So I'm just going to click inside this first cell, and I'm going to label it Layers. And then I'm going to press Tab on my keyboard, and I'm going to write the second title, and then press Tab again. And I'm going to put in my layers, as well as the distance below Earth's surface that these layers are. And then I'm going to press Tab to go to the next cell. Tab again. Tab again. Tab again. Tab again. Now I've finished adding text into each cell of my table. As you can see, I just inserted normal text. If I look up in my ribbon under the Design tab, I could have also inserted word art styles, which you learned how to insert word art styles in another video. But for this case, I'm just going to leave it in normal text, and I can make changes to this by clicking and highlighting my text. And then if I go over to the Home tab and I see font, here's where I can make my changes. So I can change the size of my font. I can bold it, italicize it, or underline it. In this case, I only want to bold the titles, so I'm going to click and highlight just the titles, and I'm going to bold them. And I'm also going to make them a size bigger. And I would also like to center them, and I can do that under the Home tab in Paragraph. Here's left align, center align, right align, so I'm going to press center, and I can align my text. I can also change the font type by clicking in here and selecting how I want the letters to look. And that's how I can make changes to my text. The last thing we're going to look at is how to format the layout of a table. So I'm going to click on the table. I'm going to go up to the Layout tab under Table Tools. And I see a variety of different options. I see something that has to do with rows and columns, with merging or splitting cells, changing the cell size, the alignment of the text within the cells, your actual table size. So I'm going to use these different things to make changes to my table. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to insert and delete a row or a column if you find out that after you put in your information and created your table that you needed another row. So the first thing I'm going to do is decide where I need to insert my row in this case. So I'm going to decide that I wanted to put something below the crust. So I'd click inside the crust cell, and then I would, again, under the Layout tab, I would go over to where it says Rows and Columns. Now there's two different options for rows. I can insert above, which would put a row above the row where their cursor is, or I can insert it below where the cursor is. So I said I wanted to put a row below the crust, so I'm going to click on Insert Below, and there I have a new row. And I can do the same thing with inserting a new column. I can either insert a column to the left or insert a column to the right. Now, I could click off and click within these cells and I can add some new information. Let's say that I realized I put too much information and I want to get rid of this row that I just created. I'm going to click and highlight it. I'm going to go back where it says Rows and Columns under the Layout tab, and I'm going to click on the word Delete, and I'm going to select Delete Row. And now you can see that it is gone. The next thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to merge your cells. So I'm going to click inside a cell, and under the Layout tab you'll see where it says Merge. Now because I've only clicked in one cell, you will see that this merge cell doesn't allow me to click on it. It's lighter in color. So in order for me to merge a cell, I have to have more than one cell highlighted. So I'm going to go back into my table. I'm going to click and drag over two cells. And now you can see the merge cells is now available for me to click. And I'm going to click it and watch what happens. Now you can see that it put my information into one cell. If I wanted to put it back to normal, I can on the keyboard press Ctrl-Z, which means to undo, or I can also go to Split Cell. When I click on Split Cell, it gives me a choice. I can change the number of columns that I want to take that cell, and how many columns I want to create, and how many rows. So I'm going to create 2 columns and 1 row. Now when I do that, it almost is back to normal, except that the 0 to 22 is not in the correct place. So in order to put it in the correct place, I can either highlight, cut and paste, or I can press Ctrl-Z, which again means to undo, until it goes back to normal. So I'm going to press Ctrl-X, which means to cut, and I'm going to click inside this empty cell and press Ctrl-V to paste. Now you will see that this cell is larger than the cell below it. So you see how there's cursors underneath 0 to 22? I'm going to press this backspace on the keyboard, and now it's back to normal. Another option in formatting the layout of your table is to first, let me click on the table, go onto the Layout tab, and I can change the cell size. So watch what happens as I click this arrow up, what it's actually changing inside the table. So as you can see, the size of the cells are getting larger. I can press down to make them go smaller. I can change the width to make them go wider or make them go smaller. So this changes your cell size. I can also change the alignment, which we talked about before. If I highlighted my text, I can choose to have my text aligned to the left, center, or right. In this case, I'm going to keep it centered to the left, or aligned to the left. I can also change the direction of my text. If I click over it, you see how the numbers change. But of course, I don't want it to look like that, so I'm going to go with horizontal, just the way it was. And the last thing I'm going to show you is how to change the table size. So if I see where table size is under the Layout tab, and I click on these arrows, you can see the table is getting larger. And now it's getting smaller. I can make it wider, I can make it thinner. And that's how I can adjust the table, or again, I can adjust it by just clicking on the corner and dragging it out. So this is how you insert a table and format the design of your table, as well as format the layout of your table. If you need help inserting a table into your PowerPoint slide, look at the PDFs next to the videos that were created, and that will go through the directions of what I just talked. Now it's your turn to insert a table into your own PowerPoint slide.